Hi there. This set of slides is going to go over the basic knife skills that we need to use to be a good cook and to be safe in the kitchen. Understanding knife safety skills is key to preventing cuts and injuries in the kitchen. I'd like you to pause and watch this short video on some basic knife skills. This video does a great job of talking about how to make sure your cutting board is secure, how to properly grip your knife, which covers something that we call the claw or the wildcat claw, the proper motion to use when cutting, which is more of a rocking motion as opposed to a chopping motion, and a few common cuts like dicing and mincing and some fancier cuts as well. All right, these are the different parts of the knife. So what we typically call the handle, the backside here, we have the tang inside. So typically the blade goes all the way through and then it's within this handle as well. We have the rivets here to hold it all together. This is the bolster, which we will actually use to hold the knife. The back of the knife is called the spine. And then we have the tip, that would be where the point is, the cutting edge, the finger guard, and the butt. Carrying a knife through the kitchen is important. We have to make sure we carry the knife with the tip down and the blade facing backwards. We need to do this properly, whether we're at home or whether we are able to cook together back at school. This video is going to show Mrs. McCrory transporting knives from a drawer in the kitchen classroom to the kitchen where you would be preparing your food. It's only about a minute long, so please pause to watch this video. How to safely hold a knife. The first two pictures are no, and the back picture is the yes. So there's our grip on the bottom of the knife, and we actually use our thumb to grip the top of the blade near the spine. That way we have a nice secure grip. When it's time to wash our knives, we want to wash them separately from any other utensils and dishes. Never drop your knife into the bottom of a soapy sink or wash tub. You can't see it, and you don't want to reach in and grab the blade of your knife or the tip of the knife and cut yourself. So always keep the knife separate. And depending on the type of knife, it's usually a good idea to wash your knives by hand as opposed to putting them into the dishwasher. They tend to get more dull quickly when we put them in the dishwasher. And some brands of knives are only to be hand washed. A sharp knife is actually a safer knife, so it is important to keep knives sharp. Now in class, we'll try to make sure the knives are sharp, but at home, you might use a knife sharpening tool like you see in the picture. A dull blade can slip, it can cause cuts, and you have to use more force or more pressure when cutting with a dull knife. So a sharper knife is a safer knife. When you're ready to cut, obviously we need to use a cutting board to protect our countertops. Cutting boards tend to slip around on the top of a counter, so secure your cutting board on top of a counter with a damp towel or cloth. In class, we use different colored cutting boards for different food items. So red is for raw meat, like cutting steak into small pieces before we were to cook it. Yellow would be for raw poultry, like chicken or turkey. Green, I should say green, is for veggies and fruits. Brown is for cooked meat, so after we take maybe a chicken out of the oven, we would cut it on a brown cutting board. White is for baked goods and dairy products, and blue is for seafood. Now at home, you might not have all of these different colors of cutting boards. That's okay. Just make sure you are keeping your cutting boards clean and sanitized. We don't want to have any cross-contamination. All right, how do we safely cut? If you watch the video, this is the fried potato demo video that Mrs. McCrory and I made. The first 2 minutes of this video is all I want you to watch right now. This goes over the proper way to hold the knife using that wildcat claw, cutting the potato into slices. When we're cutting a potato in half, we want to hold the potato in place by making a bridge with our hand. And then we use the claw. Our first set of knuckles where your fingernails are, should be on the potato. Our second set of knuckles should be resting against the knife. And this is what we call the claw. You can see that here in the picture. Somebody is cutting an onion using that claw grip. The thumb and the pinky should always be curled around the outside to hold the potato or the food in place. And then when we're ready to cut, we use a down and forward motion, a rocking motion, not a chop. And then when we're cutting, in this case, a potato, the size of your slice is determined by the distance that you move your hand back after each slice. And that was demonstrated very nicely in the Basic Knife Skills video, the first video in this slideshow. All right, there are 2 assignments for you to complete today. The first one is a Flipgrid assignment. We want you to show your hands with a knife, and you're using that wildcat claw, and you're properly slicing the knife. And then we want to see your even slices. So that's all described on the Flipgrid. You need somebody to help you with this, because you cannot, unless you have a tripod or something, you probably can't take a picture and cut at the same time. The key or the code for the Flipgrid is on today's agenda. Just make sure you're looking for the Knife Skills Flipgrid, not the Introduce Yourself one. And the second part is a quiz over all of these techniques. So review the slides, the videos, the demonstrations, and be ready for a quiz at the end of class today.